Hey babes, welcome back to another tutorial. This one's going to be pretty simple. I'm not going to do a step-by-step of how I do every row, but that's because we have a chart that we can work out of. That to me is a lot more self-explanatory. I would print it out or, keep track of it digitally, however you want to do it. I found this pattern on Pinterest. It said that it was a free pattern, and very grateful to the person who made it. I added her name here, so thank you to this person for providing a free pattern. It did say free pattern on the image, but I cropped that out just to simplify the printing and not use that much ink and toner. So this pattern, you can use whatever yarn you want, and it could be whatever size you are, and I will show you how to make it to your specific size. So this pattern is a repetition of 10 rows. So the first row is the same as the 11th row, and it is 32 stitches for each row that repeats. So you can do a multiple of 32 plus 3, and it's plus 3 because it is 2 for the ends, and then this ends up getting mirrored, so the end always has 1 extra, so it can mirror how you started. So really easy. Again, you can use whatever yarn you want. I have this yarn from a really long time ago, or actually 2 years ago when I started knitting and crocheting again. And unfortunately, this is from Hobby, so I don't recommend that you support them. But I have it already, and it's tariff time here for us, and yarn is, or just getting anything is kind of expensive. So I'm just using what I have. And so I happen to be using this Sugar Wheel grape jumpery yarn. It asks for 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, so that's what I'm going to be using. And then it did give me the gauge swatch, which I'm pretty close to gauge swatches when I end up making them, so I always just trust this guy. And so I figured that for me, for my top, it was enough to just basically do this, where I would do 64 stitches plus 3, and that would be good for my design. So this plus 3 is if you decide to start it like I do, which I'm using a foundation single crochet chain or stitch in order to do it. If you have issues doing that, don't worry, it did take me a little bit to figure it out. I recommend you put some effort in trying to learn how to do that stitch, because it will make your design a lot cleaner. But you can also just regular chain in the foundation in the beginning. And in that case, I would do 3 plus 3 more, just so you can do the turning. All right, let's get started. So ingredients you will need for this is, of course, your hook. For me, I'm using 5.5, but again, use whatever you want, because you can just measure and figure out what's best for you. You need your yarn. I always like stitch markers, some scissors, and I think that's it. All right, so this isn't going to be a step-by-step tutorial, just because I really think that these are pretty self-explanatory. I can go over maybe the beginning and then sort of explain how you would just make everything. Honestly, I love working off of these type of charts, just because something visual like this to me is a lot more simple, cleaner, more self-explanatory than reading it, like reading 3DC, Space One, like, right? Like, I feel like visually this is a lot more self-explanatory. Slip knot. 1, 2, and then you look at, you do try to put two loops. So I went through 2 loops here, And then you yarn over, pick up your yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then you start again where you insert your hook through the last chain that you made, so through 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. So yeah, so this is going to be the start of your foundation chain. There's definitely a lot more tutorials that can go over it, but basically I'm going to do 64 plus 3 foundation single crochet chains. All right, here's my foundation chain row, and now we're going to start the pattern. So if you look at the pattern, it says to start off with chaining 3. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to chain 3, and then you turn your work. And so you don't go into this one, you're going to go into the next one. And then the pattern says to do 4 double crochets, chain 2, 1 double crochet, chain 2, 15 double crochets, chain 2, 1 double crochet, chain 2, 7 double crochets, and then etc., etc. So again, it's super easy to read this and end up getting the stitch that you want. So I'm gonna literally just do that. And so that's kind of why I didn't want to do a step-by-step tutorial, because I think that the graph is so much more just intuitive and better. All right, so I did my chain 4. And then here, since I'm chaining 2, it doesn't show you what's going on at the bottom, but you're basically going to skip 2 as well. And then do a double crochet. So you skip 2, and that's only going to happen. You're only skipping in this bottom row. Once you get up here, you don't have to worry about that. So it's kind of why it's the first row is kind of tied to your foundation, and then so it's really you're repeating rows 2 to 11, because row 11 is the same as row 1. So then you chain 2 again, because that's what the chart says. I'll skip 2, so 1, 2. Sorry, skip 2, and then I'm going to do 15 double crochets. And then I'm going to chain 2, because that's what the pattern says. So now I'm here, chain 2, do skip 2, do 1 single crochet, or double crochet, chain 2, and then I'm going to skip 2 again, and I'm going to do 7 double crochets, 6, 7. So I have 7, and after that chain 2. So now again I'm here after 3, that was the first 32, and now we're just repeating. Chain 2, skip 2, do 15 again, 15. All right, and then after that it says to chain 2, skip 2, double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet 5 times. Here's my last. All right, and then we're here. And so if you have a larger multiple, just keep going, and so I had put stitch markers in my foundation chain just so I could count multiples of 20, just so it's easier for me to count, but you don't have to do that. Okay, so I finished the first row here. So now I'm gonna go ahead and chain 3, and then here's another chain instead of this double crochet underneath. So I'm going to chain one more time. So there's 4 chains total. Turn my work, and you never go into this stitch because this is all part of the same kind of column. And so instead, here was this double crochet here, but instead we did a chain, right? So we're also going to skip this one. We would normally do this one, but here it tells us to skip this one, and then we're going to start doing our double crochet here. And it does say to double crochet. Let me see, sorry, kind of snagged there. Try that again. So never go into this one. Here it tells us to skip this one, so we're going to go into this one. And so do a double crochet 3 times underneath the previous double crochets that we did. So you can see that here there's 3, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space that we did. One, 2, and then it tells us to chain 2 and then do a double crochet into the other chain 2 space, and then you chain 2, and now we're going to decrease. And so here it tells us that one of the chains belong to this guy, so we're actually going to skip this first set of 15, and then we're going to decrease in these 2 here. That's kind of what that's telling us. So skip this one, and then we're going to instead do a double crochet, but instead of finishing it, we're going to yarn over again, and then we're going to do this, pull up a loop, go through 2, so now these 2 are the same, and then we're going to yarn over, pull through these 2, and this is a decrease of 2, a double crochet. And so then it tells us to just chain up until you get to the last 3 of that 15 set. So I mean 2 double crochet. So let's just double crochet until we get to the last 3 of the last row. All right. Okay, so here's the last 3, and now we're going to decrease again by the same thing that we did before. Now we decreased, we skip this one because we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to do a, like it says here, double crochet in that space, chain 2, and then it tells us to do 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space. 1, 2, and now we're going to do 3 more double crochets underneath the bottom 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then it says to chain 1, and then it's chaining 1 underneath this 4th here double crochet. So I'm going to skip 1, and then I'm going to do what it says, which is 3 double crochets and then 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, and then we're gonna, what does it say, chain 2 and then 1 double crochet in the next chain 2 space. It says to chain 2, and now we reach the 15 again. So we're gonna skip 1, do a decrease for the next 2 stitches, and then we're gonna keep double crocheting until we get to the last 3 double crochets of the last row like we did before. So again, this chart is super useful because it just literally visualizes the stitches that you're gonna do. So I love it. I wish there was a chart for literally every pattern I do. And the pattern was free, which is super kind of the person who made it. All right, so then we get to the last 3, so we're gonna decrease. And then here's the last one we're skipping because we're gonna chain 2, double crochet into this chain 2 space, chain 2, double crochet into this chain 2 space, and then chain 2. Oh, actually it says to do 2 double crochets here, and now we're just mirroring how we started, where we do 3 double crochets in the last spaces, and then instead of doing anything with this one, we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to double crochet into the last space because that's what we did here. So that's the end of row 2. For row 3, we're going to start with the eye, or we're going to start making the eyes. And so it says to chain 3, then we turn our work, and it wants us to, in that chain 1 space that we made, wants us to do 1 double crochet. So that's what I'm going to do. And then it wants us to do 1 double crochet here. Now we're going to chain 5, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to skip all of these, and then in the last set before we get to the chain 2 space, we're going to do 1 double crochet, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space. So we have that. So there, we're right here, we just did this. Now I'm going to chain 2. And it tells us to, into this chain 2 space, do 1 double crochet, chain 2, and then it says to do a double crochet, skipping these 2. So skip these 2 and then do a double crochet here. And then we're going to chain 2 again. We're going to skip 2, do a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, do a double crochet, chain 2, do a double crochet into the chain 2 space. And now we've done all of this. Again, you're just following the pattern. I'm only going to show you up to probably row 4 because the rest is super self-explanatory. I'm serious. And getting comfortable with this type of chart is honestly leveling up. So we chain 2 again, and where are we? We are here. So we're going to do a double crochet into this space. Twice it tells us, and then 1 double crochet into this double crochet space, and then we're going to chain 5, and then we're going to double crochet right before the chain 2 space, and then double crochet into the chain 2 space, and then double crochet into next to the chain 2 space here. And then we're going to do 5 chains, double crochet into the last double crochet from the row below, 2 double crochets into this chain 2 space, and so you can kind of see the skull, right? You can kind of see this little guy starting to form. We just finished these. Now we're going to chain 2, And we're gonna do a double crochet into this chain 2 space, 2 double crochets. Now we're kind of doing the same before where we skip these 2, did a double crochet here, chain 2, skip 2, do a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet, chain 2, skip these 2, double crochet into the hole, and then what does it say to do? Chain 2, 2 double crochets, into the chain 2 space, and then 1 double crochet in the double crochet below. We're going to chain 5 and then double crochet, and then it tells us to do 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, and we're done with this. And so this is the last row I'm going to show you. This is the end of row 3. And then just, I mean, if you're this far, I would try it against your body, put it up against the sweater you've already made or that you have, and then make sure that this is how wide that you would want it. My design is a little loose. I want it a little bit loose, so for me it works out. All right, so let's start the 4th row. We're over here now. We're gonna chain 3, turn our work. Again, never go into this one. We're gonna go into here. It tells us to do a double crochet underneath the 2 double crochets below. And then it says, in this chain 5 space, you're gonna do 3 single crochets. So that's what I'm doing. 3 single crochets, and then there's 3 double crochets there, so we'll just double crochet in each of these. What is going on here? I might have grabbed something from the yarn. Not sure. Let's try that again. All right, and then it says chain 2, and then we're gonna double crochet here in this double crochet. Chain 2, and then we're gonna again double crochet in the double crochet space below. And then it tells us to do 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space. And then it tells us to do 1 double crochet in the double crochet below, 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space. And then we're gonna double crochet in the double crochet. Let me see, it says to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so now we're gonna chain 2. Then we're gonna double crochet in the double crochet row underneath, chain 2, and then we're gonna do 3 double crochets in the 3 double crochets below. All right, so we did 3 here, and then it tells us to right here. Now we're going to do into the chain 5 space below, we're going to do 3 single crochets, and then a double crochet into each of these 3 double crochets. And then once again, we do 3 single crochets. And then a double crochet into each of these 3 double crochets. All right, and here's a little schoolboy. we're right here. So now it tells us to chain 2, double crochet into the double crochet underneath, chain 2, and then we're going to do again another double crochet here. Then it tells us to do that 2 double crochets into this space. Double crochet underneath here, 2 double crochets again, and then double crochet here. All right, and then we're gonna chain 2, double crochet in the double crochet below, chain 2, and then it tells us to do a double crochet into the 3 underneath like before. We're gonna do 3 single crochets in the chain 5 space below, and then 3 double crochets. We reach the end here. All right, and so that is end of row 4. So really simple. You just keep repeating this up until you get to however long you want it. I'm gonna end up once I have enough length, I'll put it up against me and then see kind of where I want the neck hole. I think I want to finish like a whole skull, and then probably like do this much of my neck space, but I'll see when I am this far. And that's the really cool thing about this pattern, is that you don't need the words, you just understand the symbols, and you can really make this design your own just by understanding the number of rows to finish a certain design, and then the number of stitches that you would need to fit you. And so, yeah, I mean, I know I went kind of fast, but hopefully this is helpful, and hopefully you can take time if you're a bit more beginner, just to understand what this is saying, and then hopefully motivates you to do the same thing I did, which was, go on Pinterest and try to find free patterns. So yeah, I will come back when I'm ready for the neck part. All right, so I finished row 8, and that's where I'm going to stop. So I completed a full skull right in the center, and I'm kind of trying it on just to get an idea of where I want the neckline to be and where I want the shoulders to be. So I suggest you do something similar, and then I put stitch markers where I know I'm going to make the shoulder. All right, so I think you can see that. So I ended like on a row where there's a complete skull. I guess it could be like here. There's a complete skull. And then I ended on this row with the boxes, kind of like here. And so I'm going to have my neckline be in between here. I'll finish up the eye. There's 3 stitches here, if you guys can tell on one of these. When you make the eyes, there's 3 stitches. I'm going to make it along here. So on this side. So it'll be from here. Let me see how I did this. Okay. It's kind of like up here, actually. All right, so I want there you go. All right, so I want my neckline to be, let's say we're here, and then it's going to be in between these two ends. So I have to make sure as I go up that I'm following and stopping in the same row, regardless of what's going on. So that's something to keep track of. All right, so here's one way to keep track of it. My scratch paper, this is what I take with me when I'm on the go, so it's kind of all messed up. But I made pink lines showing kind of where I'm gonna stop every time I crochet. Uh, so this is kind of where I left off. So I'm keeping one of the double crochets here in the skull's head. And then this double crochet will be the edge. So here, instead of chaining like it says, I'll do a double crochet. Instead of chaining here, I'll do a double crochet, etc., until I get to however long I want my sleeve to be. So just to briefly show, I ended on line 8. So I'll continue with line 9. And so that is going to be 4 double crochets. So 1 underneath the last double crochet, 2 in the chain 2 space. Man, my dog hair. And then 1 in the double crochet below. It tells me to chain 2, to do a double crochet in the last double crochet. Chain 2. We're going to do 3 double crochets or a double crochet 3 times. We're going to do 3 single crochets for the eye. And then here at the middle, we're going to do 3 double crochets. Yeah, my yarn is kind of gross here. I swear my dog hair. It actually touched the ground. Three single crochets. And then 1 double crochet. And I actually might stop here, so the row before, just to give myself enough neckline. I think that's probably good. So I'm ending here. And so I just chain 3, turn my work, and then it says to do double crochets. So now I'm in row 10. So we're here, and we're just going to go back. And the chart is really useful because it helps you know when to stop. And then how far you go really depends on you. I think I'm just going to stop here. All right. Chain 3. 2 double crochets. And so you just keep going until you reach how long you want it. All right, so I've made a total of 5 rows for my neck area, and I'm gonna repeat the same thing over here. All right, so I did go ahead and I finished the shoulder neck part, and I went back and I redid this section just because the color transitioned to a bit darker, and I really liked that kind of gradient, and I wanted it to be the same on both sides. So I went back and I redid this guy. But here they are, and so you will repeat the same thing for the back. The difference for the back that you will, I already did. So the back is going to be just straight. You don't have to worry about any type of neckline. And then for the back side, it is just going to be straight. So kind of like in the front, this is where we did our neckline opening. So you just keep going. I finished another skull, and I ended in the same 8th row that I did down here when I did the neckline. And here, since it's the 8th row, it has you do the chain 5 for the eyes. Instead of chaining 5, I chained 3, since down below it's only 3. That way it's not stretchy. The next part is to do a whip stitch. I'm gonna do you can do a different type of whatever stitch you want to combine, but I'm gonna do a whip stitch here. Alright, so now I try it on, and this will give you a better estimate of kind of where you want your sleeves to start, and then also how long your sleeves are going to be. And I hope by now you are super happy with everything that you've accomplished so far. We are almost there. All right, for the sleeve, I casted on 32 stitches. I just did half of what I did for my bodice. And then I was a little scared that it was going to be a little too tight. So I ended up, on each side, I ended up doing a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet before I started the stitch that I was doing. And then after too. So on the ends, I did that. And you can kind of see it in the sleeve. So here's like that, but not really. And this gave me enough give because I didn't want it too tight. And then I went as long as I needed, and that's why I tried it on as I went along. All right, so we are done with our pieces. So we've already connected at the shoulders here. This is the front, here's the back panel. And then I have my 2 sleeves. And so time to start connecting. So we're gonna do a whip stitch on the top of our sleeve to the bodice on both sides. So basically how I do this is the center. I just find the center of the sleeve, and then we'll do a stitch marker here on both sides. Now we're gonna grab our sweater, and we're gonna do the last 2 seams. And so now we're just gonna go ahead and stitch this side all the way here, and then here as well. And that's it. Be sure to, before you do this, try it on again just to make sure it's good. And then sew it up. If you want, you can also do like a stitch here, and even on the sleeves you can do ribbing or or here, but I'm just going to leave it like that because I like it. So this is the final look. I hope you guys like this tutorial today. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.